Welcome to Family Business Diaries, the podcast where we unravel secrets of family businesses. I'm your host, Maria Santia Samoa. And can you believe it? This is the last episode for season 3. We're ending it with a bang because, listen, my guest for today carries so much wisdom. I mean, just get ready.
Prince Arkutu is an accomplished Ghanaian entrepreneur and business transformation leader with over 18 years of operational and strategic experience in logistics, transportation, and leadership development. As the CEO of Apex Shipping and Commercial Limited, ASCO, a 28-year-old family business, he has successfully repositioned the company from a freight forwarding firm into a modern logistic and haulage enterprise, serving multinational clients including Guinness Ghana, Diageo, Nestle Ghana, Unilever Ghana, Olam, and Infinity Tires. He also founded Rambo Transports Ghana Limited, a fast-growing petroleum haulage company providing innovative transport solutions through leveraging third-party aggregations. Prince is also in the process of establishing West Africa Heavy Machinery and Training Institute, a specialized training institute for machine operators, drivers, mechanics, and women and workmen for heavy-duty trucks and machinery for the oil and gas, logistics, and mining sector aligned with national job creation and road safety goals. He studied banking and finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Legon, and also completed the Seed Transformation Program by Stanford Seed Graduate School of Business. His leadership extends beyond his companies. As president of the Stanford Seed Transformation Network Ghana, he leads the Ghana chapter of the globally recognized Stanford Graduate School of Business Seeds Transformation Network. Prince drives national initiatives that empower business leaders, enhance corporate governance, and promote entrepreneurship across Africa to support the global mission of alleviating poverty. Prince is also married with 4 daughters.
We're here with Mr. Prince Arkutu and his titles. He's a CEO, he's a founder, he's a partner of a business. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. I'm not even going to say anything. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself and we'll dive right into it. Okay, so Mr. Arkutu, or should I call you Prince? What do you want?
Prince is fine.
Or Honorable?
No.
Not yet.
No. Prince is fine. Thank you.
All right, welcome to Family Business Diaries.
Thank you very much, Mary.
All right, so I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself. I know we've already read your profile, but tell us about Prince.
Okay.
And all your many titles. Tell us everything.
So I'm not too big on the titles, but I'm Prince 𝐀𝐫𝐤𝐿 Arkutu. I'm a father of 4 daughters, married to an amazing wife, Anna Arkutu. In terms of business, yes, I run and manage a family business that's 28 years old. That's Apex Shipping and Commercial Limited. And then I also own other businesses, or I have other business interests. So I have Rambo Transport Ghana Limited. I'm a partner to my wife's business, which is Arkutu Consult, which is into real estate. And then I have my hands in a couple of other things in vocational training and tech. So that's, I think, a bit of a summary about me. And one of the most important things is I'm a believer in God, Yahweh. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
You're a busy man, obviously. And I have something. I think we're blessed in this episode because you can tell us different dynamics when it comes to family business. First, working with, taking over from your dad, and then working with a wife. Now, I've been talking about this and I'm not sure. Everybody keeps asking, can you work with your husband? And I'm not sure how I feel about that. So you have to tell us what it feels like working with a partner. But let's talk about Prince, young Prince growing up. I mean, what was the journey? Talk about school. How did you get here, right? Was this always the plan?
Thank you for the question. I went to Adisado College. Let me start from there. That was secondary school. So I'm a Santa as
My dad is going as well.
Oh, fantastic. So yes, I went to Adisado College, and then from there, read business, went to University of Ghana, Legon Business School, did banking and finance there. But whilst there, the main thing was this for me. I already had started doing business. So whilst I was in school, I was one of those people who was selling clothes in the booth of their car, selling clothes, men's shoes, women's bags, all sorts of things. So right after uni, I set up what you call a company called Best Bargain. That was my first real venture. And Best Bargain was sort of a copy of Best Buy
I
in
was
the
going to
US.
say.
Exactly. Because at the time, I used to buy all my computers and accessories from Best Buy. And I was like, let me come up with something different. And I was like, let me give people a bargain. So the name Best Bargain was what I started with. So right out of school, I was doing that. I didn't go to work for anybody immediately. But prior to that, I had done internships with banks. So Amal Bank is no longer Amal Bank. I think it's now Bank for Africa or one of those banks. But yes, my work life and experience started when I was in Legon. On holiday, I'd either intern with my dad or go work in an institution. So very early, I was able to pick up, the traits of being in a business, being productive, and just understanding how businesses work. So that was, let's say, the first intro into, the corporate world. But after school and after Legon, after I started doing Best Bargain, I traveled to the US
Okay.
after Legon because one of the things I wanted to do was to do my master's. And I wanted to do an MBA because I was one of those young men who just believed and wanted to work on Wall Street. So I was one of those guys who just had like that ambition.
Yeah.
But I went to the US for about 6 months, spent good time in the US, got introduced to quite a number of senior bankers, working with Lehman Brothers, Merrill Lynch, and others. But after talking to all these people and just looking at how America worked, I just realized that that wasn't going to be for me. And that with who I believed I was, the best use of my time at the time would be to come down and help my dad start his business. No, not start his business, run his business or grow his business. So I came back to Ghana and tried to join the family business.
Try to join.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So I say try to join because when I came down, or before I came down, I had a call with my dad. And I said, look, forget about the MBA. Let me come down and help you grow ASCO, as we call it. And the reason was, whilst in the US, I realized that, look, in the US, things work. You go into a space and you actually see staff working. You see people quite passionate about whatever enterprise they're running. And prior to that, you don't add, like I said, I'd done internship with the banks. I had interned with my dad during a holiday, and I'd observe what happens when my dad is out. In the bank as well, I'd observed a number of things. So I just believed that with my character and personality, if I could support my dad, we could really grow the business. So I said, look, let me come down. And then I came down. So I came down to Ghana and we had a conversation. But my dad thought that joining him wouldn't really be the thing. At the time, he just felt that, I was a fresh graduate from Legon. The banks wanted me to work with them.
So much
There
opportunity.
was so much opportunity. He thought, his business he had started really, was kind of like a pension baby. And so he thought, look, there was more for me out there. But I thought, no. So so we dropped the conversation and I said, look, if I'm not doing this with you, then I might as well go and continue Best Bargain, which was my own business.
Yeah.
So I went on to continue to pursue Best Bargain. And later he came back. I think he had conversations with some people because at Best Bargain I had my own customers. So my clientele were like top business executives who wanted high-end electronic products. So I'm dealing with CEOs, basically. I'm not dealing with just anybody. I'm dealing with CEOs who want the latest iPad, the latest iPhone, people like that. And I'd engage them and build relationships with them. So I think someone had a conversation with my dad and said, look at our son properly.
Yeah.
So he came back and said, that conversation we had, why don't you come back and join? But that conversation didn't go too well
The second one.
Yeah, the second one. So what happened was when he called me and tried to have the conversation with me, he was quite don't know the word to use, but it was quite like, stop what you're doing and come and work with me. That was kind of like the conversation. So let's forget that conversation. I'll do what I'm doing. You continue doing what you're doing. But I think there was a couple of interventions. And I give credit to my uncle who, at the time, reached out to me and had a conversation with me. And he clearly saw through the conversation and what had happened with my dad, because I think my dad had a conversation with him. And he read through it and realized that, no, my dad was just like talking to me in a certain manner. So when he called me, he was like, oh, no, you know what? We respect what you're doing. And, but we need you to help. You guys are the future, blah, blah, blah. So he read through me.
The right language.
Exactly. So he also saw through my ego and everything my dad took for granted, and gave me the respect that I wanted. It wasn't nothing much, but just the respect. So I decided to join my dad. And so that's how I finally ended up. So my dad also got the info, and we were able to start off. So that was like the beginning of joining a family business.
Wow. Now it's very interesting that you say, because usually after school, if you go out there, most young people, that's like everybody's desire. Oh, I've gotten a chance to go outside. When you go out there, you see them in their suits, these New York guys and all, leaving all that to say, no, I'm coming back. That speaks, that's a lot. That's a very bold move, and we have to commend you for it, because very few people do that. So thank you. And then to come and be bounced, that must, I don't even want to ask what that felt like, but I think it's good. That means for you, in terms of the business, even before going in, you guys had already,
Yeah,
had a few.
exactly.
And then when you started, how did that go?
So we started on a very good note, because I highly respect my dad. And one of the reasons why I also wanted to work with him was that I'd worked in the bank. And banks are run by very strict systems.
Yeah.
And I'd seen how the bank was run. And after the bank experience, I'd also interned with the old man. And there also I saw systems. So very early, I saw that, no, my dad had something, but I also could see what he was lacking. So I knew that if I added that, we could take it to another level. So that was it for me. I mean, coming back, I just knew that. And what I'd also seen in the US, I realized that, Ghanaians just need a little bit of passion. Because if you ask me, when you walk around Ghana and you walk around Europe or the Americas, there's something you notice. It's like quite a number of Ghanaians are walking and sleeping at the same time, or sleepwalking. People don't work with passion. People don't, they are not driven. So I was like, look, anything you do in this country and you add that passion, that drive, it'll take off. So that was it for me, knowing that, look, if I come in and I can support my dad, we could take this to another level. Yeah.
I mean, just listening to you, it's almost like the journey helped you or prepared you for this, right? Because the systems, the exposure you had from the banks, and then leading up to just going out to the US, seeing, you said things were working over there. And so coming back, applying all that. I mean, I think what happens, especially with family business, so your dad has this thing, he's been running it for a while, he has his way of doing things. Now you have come with the passion that you're talking about, right? And you had exposure, so you know about the systems. What was it like trying to get him to see things your way, or to accept these new things that you were bringing on board? Because it's like, we've been doing this, we're good. What was it like? Because I think that could also discourage you or keep you going, right? Because
Yeah.
you have that drive, you've seen the things, you know what can work. So what was it like once you got in? You're talking passion, you're passionate about the thing, you've seen what can work. You give it to the old man. How did he take it? What was the journey?
Fantastic question. So when I first joined, and I think that people have to, something I've done that has worked for me, and I'll take it from a number of points. So I'm a business student. So when I joined the old man, the first thing I focused on was first understanding his setup. Who are his clientele? What are the processes? And like the whole business model. And then after understanding that, I developed a SWOT analysis of the business. I still have that document since that time. I wrote it in 2007, 2008. Yeah, so I wrote a SWOT analysis of the business, and then I had a conversation with him that, these are our strengths, these are our weaknesses, these are the opportunities, these are the threats. Because I'd go around just like interviewing the staff, and people tell you all sorts of things, And when I entered, the whole idea for me was I was going through a learning phase. So I didn't go in trying to advise him or try to say change this, change that. I was just taking information and I was just learning, what he was doing, how he goes about it, and just trying to see how we could improve. In the beginning, like I said, maybe like the first 2 years was just learning and gathering that info. But of course, the SWOT analysis document, I prepared it quite early when I got in, because I also had fresh perspective coming from somewhere not being contaminated or my perspective being blurred by the system. I wanted fresh perspective, so I wrote all of that down. But I gave myself some time, and then I started to learn from him. From that time, there was a time where I then needed to now express myself. That's the challenging and the tough point. So, for example, my dad had, or the company had, its target core market, and it was mostly manufacturing businesses. So they bring in high volume imports into the country, lots of containers a month, steady, predictable, but it was also quite a competitive market to serve. Very low margin, very demanding, and that wasn't for me. Because remember, I was already running a business before I joined my dad. So I understood profit, I understood cash, I understood high margins. And again, I was also fresh graduate, and I had a budget for what I should be paid for my service. So even though I was joining my dad, even when I was joining my dad, what he was able or willing to pay me at the time, I was earning much more on my own. But then I knew the value of working with him. It wasn't the money. It was what I was going to learn from him. So that for me was the bigger pay, not the cash he was going to pay me. I didn't care about that, because at the end of the day, even on the side, I was still making money. So I would then propose and say, look, maybe let's go after this new clientele. And I'd ask a lot of questions. Why do we charge this? It's like, oh, that's what we charge. That's the industry, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, but we do so much work.
Yeah.
This is not it. Like, no, it's a volume business, it's a numbers game, it's a blah, blah, blah. And I understood him, because in the market, that's exactly what it was. But I never look at anything and look at things from the market's point of view. I look at things from a niche point of view. I believe a lot in value. For me, if I'm doing anything, it's not an issue of price. It's what's the value. My focus to this world is, how do I provide so much value that price becomes,
Yeah.
you get the point. So I try to do that. It's like, no, this won't work. So I think by the maybe second or third year, I was patient.
That's a lot of patience.
Yes, I was patient, because again, I recognize my dad's intelligence. My dad is an amazing business manager. So for me, it's like, okay, he's not listening here, but what am I learning? So I just kept learning. Then I think 2 years, 3 years down the line, I then said, okay, now I understand this place. I can now develop my own clientele. So let's have a deal. If I find a customer, I want to deal with that customer. I'm not going to use your rules.
Yes.
I'll invoice how I invoice. I'll set up the service how I want it to be set up, and let's do that. So I think we started that, and then I started to get new clientele on board. So at that time, I think from working in accounts where I understood the numbers in terms of what we were charging, the service, the profits, the losses. I understood that. I then started doing business development because that's really was more of my area, or I think my natural skill. So I said, you know what, let me do business development for the company. Let me go out and meet people because I think we're doing it so much and being paid little for it. So let me find our ideal customer. So I started to do that. And we got some good jobs, got some new clientele, were able to now charge within the ranges where I thought
You deserve.
were commensurate with what we were offering. So we did that for a while. But again, to your question about being allowed to do things, I think by the fourth year, I was now pushing to be allowed to do more. But then my dad again thought I was being maybe overly ambitious, or they call it
Yes.
youthful exuberance. So he started to, it was like, oh, you know what? This is how it's done, blah, blah, blah. So I then started to realize that I was losing
The energy levels.
who I was, not necessarily, energy and blah, blah, blah. So I got into another venture. Now, the venture I got into was setting up another company. So this company was a talent agency. So at the time, I started doing boxing for exercise. And I still had best bargain running on the side. So that kind of kept me whatever. But when I started doing boxing, I just got interested in supporting boxers. So what had actually happened was I wanted to do a CSR project for Best Bargain. And what I decided then to do was to help the boxers, because I would go into the gym with all this gear and I'd see professional boxers with nothing. And yet that's what they're doing for their livelihoods. So I picked one boxer and I was like, look, let me support you. And started to buy things for him and said, look, I wanted to do a CSR for the boy. So started to support him beyond like the normal. I mean, to the extent where I even paid the young man's rent.
Wow.
Yes. And you know, in Ghana, you have to pay like
2
2 years. So I paid for the young man. And I was talking to a friend of mine who said, Prince, you're doing more than the managers in the industry do. So you might as well just manage the kid.
Yeah.
Because you're doing so much for the boy. And at that time, that was like, I think 2012, 2013. Yeah, but 2012, 2013. So paid for the boy's friend, started supporting him, started building a brand around him. Because I love marketing. I love storytelling. So at that time, I said, look, boxers don't have a good brand image locally. But here was this young man. He was well-spoken, had talent, and I started supporting him. So I built a brand around him. And then they said, look, manage the kid. Build a business around this. So before I set up a business, somebody had approached me and said, all this content you're putting around this boy, Prince, this is going to be major. So I ended up setting up a company called Center Stage Management. So I set up Center Stage Management, and the idea was to help talented Ghanaians in the entertainment and sports space. So before 3 months, we'd signed a major deal with a telco. For NDA reasons, I can't talk about how much we were signing and what the details were, but it was a big deal. And prior to signing it, I'd had a conversation with my dad. And I said, look, Daddy, I'm doing this thing and I think it's going to bring blah, blah, blah dollars. And he said, no, it's impossible.
He's still underestimating what you can do.
So he said, it's impossible. And then I think within 2 months or 3 months, I brought a signed contract with the dollar figure there. He was like, what? And I could understand him because life is about perspective.
Yeah.
If you're doing one thing and like right now, young kids are making millions of dollars with crypto overnight. And if you've been working 9 to 5 all your life and somebody tells you somebody made $100,000 overnight or in a month, you think
You won't believe it.
you won't believe it. But it's possible in this world. So brought it to them. My dad was like, whoa, how is this? So I think from that time, what happened was my dad realized that because I wasn't getting the space to fully express myself here, the energy and the creativity was going elsewhere. Because now I had to fly, I had to travel out of the country to the US with a boxer. I was getting called by quite a number of people.
You're a busy man. Book them busy.
So I ended up showing all this to my old man. And then finally, one day he came up and said, "Oh, no, no, no. Now you're ready to be CEO." So
that's how it happened.
So that's how it happened. And then I was called and told that it was time for me to become CEO. I think we can get into that. But yeah.
That's interesting. But it's like, it's like losing someone. You know you're about to lose something good, so then you come. But I mean, what a story. I think there's certain things I want to highlight and lessons for next gens, right? Because you said when you came in for the first 2 years, it was like humility. You decided to learn. I think that's one of the mistakes some next gens make. You come in feeling you know it all, entitled, and so you don't take time to study the business or understand how things are done. So it's really good. I think it's one lesson you can learn from you. I like what you said about value as well, because you complain a lot about the salary, which, I mean, they still need to do better with the salary, right? But the value thing is important. And I think that's something that listeners, please pay attention to that. But also, it's the fact that you had the energy and you found, I mean, you channeled it somewhere else to help. Obviously, giving back was also important. Deciding to do it, because when you decided to help the boxer, it wasn't to make money. I don't think
Exactly.
from your story, it was just you doing
I was
good.
just doing,
and then it came,
No, the
it turned
business.
out to be something good. So that's it. Sometimes, it's not all about the money. That's what I'm learning from you. But somehow the money has a way of coming back.
to you.
So do good, do good. But yes, so you decide to do center stage, and daddy sees that, hey, my boy is leaving. And so you're called back. At that point, how did you feel? Because you have a contract, you're doing something great. Tell us what happened then.
So I think for me, one really, really important thing people have to realize is I mentioned doing a SWOT analysis
Yes.
of the business when I started. People should always do a SWOT analysis of themselves as well. So I know who I am. And at every given point in time, I do another analysis of myself. So periodically, I analyze my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, my threats for the business and for myself. So when my dad came back and said, it's time for you to be CEO, remember, I said I wanted to come to Ghana. So I knew what I could do. So I jumped at it. I was like, okay, let's do this. Because I saw like great opportunity. There were so many things that they couldn't just see that I just thought, we can do this. And prior to that, I think one of the things that I need to share with you is that, so I've been learning a lot. So I think even since I finished university, I've studied on my own more than I ever did when I was in uni. So when I started working, when I finished uni, I started reading self-help books. Prior to that, I mean, in secondary school and so on, we're reading Hardy Boys, Tintin, and things like that. But once I decided I wanted to do business, I started reading. So prior to all these things about even center stage management and trying to help the boxer and all of that, I was reading. I was reading a lot of books. I was part of or we had set up a book club. We're meeting every Thursday in Golden Tulip for like 3 years.
Wow.
So, and when you're reading, there's a lot of information in you, and you need a way to express that. And I wanted to do that in the business. Once I wasn't being allowed to do that, I rechanneled it to what? Best Bargain, now Center Stage Management. So when my dad now came and said, look, run the business as CEO, I said, okay. Now I had a lot of info. How do we push the brand? How do we position ourselves? How do we communicate our value proposition? So we just got to work. I mean, for me, and to even share with you how committed I was. Look, I was thinking IPO levels before I was made CEO. Those were my goals. And I'm talking maybe some 12, 13 years ago. That's how far back. I was
I
thinking,
hope you didn't mention that to the
no,
old man.
no. I didn't. At the time, I was just me in my head reading and just being inspired by American businessmen and wanting to do something like they'd done. So to even just let you know how committed I was, remember I had Best Bargain, I had Center Stage Management. So what I did was I brought somebody to try and manage Center Stage Management. And I had some other people also managing Best Bargain. But after a couple of months, I was like, you know what? I can't do this CEO thing half-half.
You have to be full in.
So I shut down every other thing.
Seriously?
I shut down every other thing. I closed down Best Bargain because imagine I had Best Bargain was a electronics store. And I had a shop in Community 18, which was my dad's, that I was using. I had a guy there. He was using my store to make money.
Yeah.
He never makes any sales. All sales come from me. And I said, what a waste of my time and energy. So I shut that down. Center Stage Management also. After a while, I just said, you know what, let me just shut all of this down because there's a whole story about that as well. Trying to help people and Ghanaians not.
We need a book from you.
So I shut that down as well and went all into ASCO. So it was focused for me. Took it up as CEO and I was like, look, let's go. Even to give you better perspective, those days I used to be at work by, everybody shows up at work at about 8 a.m. I think Best Bargain, ASCO days when I first became CEO, I think by 6:45 I'm at work.
Why?
You see, I had absorbed so much from the autobiographies of American leaders that I knew that to take the business to the next level, I need to be ahead of everybody, to see how people walk in, to even prepare before the day, and then after people left, just to see what was happening. And there was so much I needed to do. So I was that committed. I shut down everything else and just went into focus on family.
Amazing. What was your dad's response to all this?
So initially it was all well and good. So the first year, by God's grace, I think when we started, I told you that I'm a believer. For me, Yahweh is my everything. Jehovah, I believe, has placed me on this earth to do something and to show people something. So I don't go into anything just like half-half. I believe that God is going with me. So my first year, I'm like, I remember when I was made CEO, the directors, after the board meeting, blah, 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 we had lunch and they were showing me our financials. And they're like, oh yeah, Prince, this is what you are now seeing. Your dad is, so we want to see blah, blah, blah. I was just laughing in my head. I'm like, you people don't know.
This small thing.
I respect what my dad has done, but I know that we can do more together. So first year, amazing results by God's grace. We did great numbers. But what happened that year was that, let me even backtrack. Now, I told you in the beginning, we used to work with manufacturing entities. And that was basically who we're working with. So I don't even think it was the first year. So yes, first year, I focused on efficiency. So first year, I think we did well on efficiencies. I'd read a book by Sam Walton, who's the founder of Walmart, and he taught me a lot about efficiency. So first year for me, I think was Sam Walton efficiency. Then I think second year, or getting to the end of the first year, I started focusing on new customer segment, which was project cargoes. So people coming to do big projects in the country and managing their logistics for them.
So that's a change for them.
So that's like totally different market segment that we weren't used to. So started to focus on those customers and try to build a clientele around that. Now, my dad and I started having clashes. And the clashes were because the way you manage manufacturing entities is not the way you manage a project. And my tempo is quite fast, naturally, because I'm younger. But for me, I'm a very determined person. And I focus on results. I really don't care about people saying this is the reason we couldn't. No, I don't care. If I set my mind to something, I'm going after it.
Mr. Go-Getter.
So I think we started doing a project. There was a project where I was chasing, and by God's grace, got our first opportunity. Yes, it was a customer I was following up. Finally, we got our first opportunity. And I'd had a meeting with my team, the staff of the company. And I sold them a vision. I told them, like, this thing can get bigger than all of us. We just need to be ahead of everybody. So I think prior to having that meeting, I had asked God to show me what to do. And I remember the Lord told me at the time it was an issue of time. I needed to beat everybody with time. And I asked for more clarity. The clarity I got was you needed to start ahead of everybody. So I had a meeting with the whole company and I said, look, guys, when I look at everybody in this industry, everybody starts work at 8 a.m. However, what time do people show up to work? People show up to work 8:30. Work actually starts at like 9 a.m. But we work with a lot of stakeholders. We work with government agencies, we work with customs, we work with EPA, we work with Ghana Standards Board, we work with shipping lines, we work with a lot of people. Most of these agencies need to open at 8. But freight forwarders, usually 8:30 is when they're really... So with what God had given me, I met with them and I said, guys, what if we started work here in this company at 7:30? We started earlier so that by 8 a.m. when people are opening, if we needed to deal with another agency, my team would be first.
Yeah.
And then
Speed.
Exactly. You've got it. So ASCO, what we do is to deliver people's cargo. And in logistics, time is money.
Yeah.
So what we sell is speed. So I even came up with a mantra for the company, which is we deliver faster because we're selling speed. So I said to the guys, let us start earlier. When we start to engage people earlier, what happens? All these agencies will have what? An impression of the company.
Yeah,
And these guys are serious. These guys are reliable. So all of a sudden, we start delivering faster than everybody. And it worked.
What is the, I mean, apart from clearly you have a system where you can come together and talk about things and nobody takes it personal, right? But apart from that, when it comes to documentation, Mr. CEO, they said they give you a title. At least I hope you have a job, like an actual letter that says you're the CEO and stuff. Let's talk documentation, because sometimes it's also important to have these things. And what when we talk of your family business in terms of structure and actually documenting things, what's the setup like? Are you guys good on that side?
So I started by saying that my dad had systems. So in terms of finance and bookkeeping and those things, they were there. As far as corporate governance it was okay. It wasn't to the best levels. But ever since we went through the Stanford Seed program, we've tried to catch up on the documentation, because from Stanford Seed, when I did it in like 2018, of course, we got into good info. So we started to document a lot of things. So largely, we do have good documentation around things. Not everything has been sorted. Still work in progress. So, but largely, I'll say yes. I think even for now, where we are today, we're at the point where him and I understand what needs to be done, even to the extent that I'm getting ready to transition as well. I'm not one who's looking to hold on to be CEO, because I've been CEO for like 12 years, and I'd given myself even 10 years. So I'm in the process of even looking for the next CEO, because you get to a point where I'll get risk averse. I become my dad.
Yeah.
So, and it's just a natural state of things. So I'm looking at succession. I'm looking at how to bring in somebody, or looking for that personality and that person who's entrepreneurial and can drive the next growth or the next phase of the family business. So generally, that's where we are.
But speaking of that, looking for the next CEO, you know, with family businesses, most people want to keep it within the family. We want it has to be a family member. What's your take on that? When you're saying you're looking for the next CEO, are you open to, you know, just an outsider? What is it that you guys want for the family?
So with my experience, I actually prefer not to work with family. I think family business is a very difficult thing to crack. And it's not something that I generally advise because not everybody can get through it. You know, when you love your family, you don't want to mix it up with business. Only a few people are able to do it, and only certain cultures are able to get it right. There's a lot of talk about corporate governance and a lot of teaching on family business and all of that. But the culture of the African is different.
It was special.
And so for me, I'm not looking to hire somebody who is within the family to come and run ASCO. We want an independent person so that things are very objective. Because one thing I'll share is this: when you work for a family business, you will take family for granted and you will also be taken for granted. Finding that balance is key. A lot of people are not able to identify when they are taking things for granted or when they are being taken for granted. They only see that, oh, maybe I'm not appreciated. But in some cases, you also do not appreciate certain things. So I'm very aware. I think one of the good things God has given me is my ability to stay aware of things. So I try to stay conscious. I'm not a perfect person, but I try to stay conscious. So I prefer, and I think it's what my family we've been discussing, that, you know what, let's get an independent person. Let's deal with the person as a professional. Because when you're dealing with me, it's like, oh, Prince,
Yeah.
you know, you're my son, or you're my brother, or you're my sibling, or whatever it is. And that kind of affects sometimes the smooth running of things, even giving feedback, even sometimes perks.
Yeah.
And so much more. Beyond perks, there's a lot in terms of even communication, you know. So I think for the success and the longevity of businesses, I'd rather keep family out and have family do whatever they want to do.
This is very interesting. You rather keep family out, but you keep ownership to the family. Is that
Yes.
what it will be? Okay.
And even for ownership,
I mean, with your wild dreams that you had.
it is yeah, family should continue to own the business, but it should be also open to third parties as well. Because I think, you know, family blurs a lot of lines as far as getting things done. And you need objectivity to be able to keep a business profitable and productive. One of the successes for us as a family business has been the fact that we had an independent board chairman. Again, that's why
Your dad is not there.
yes, again, that's why I said my dad is a very intelligent man. So my dad brought on a board chair who's independent, who also has a lot of experience managing family businesses. So he has been the balancing factor. So he'll call my dad out, he'll call me out.
That's good.
That's number one. Number two, he's also a director who's done well for himself. He has his own money. I think it's important to share this because sometimes people take all sorts of directors that need your director fees.
So they can't say.
So they can't talk to you. No, my board chairman has his own money. So my board chairman can call my dad's bluff. He can call my bluff. I have meetings with him. He can tell me, oh, Prince, you're being silly on this, or this is not how it should go. I think you should look at it this way. He does same with my dad. So that has kept us going. Without him, we wouldn't have made it up to this point. But it's the decision of the founder.
Yes.
The founder being open to criticism, the founder being open to objective feedback, candid feedback from somebody that he can listen to. Because there are a lot of family businesses where the founders don't even want to have a board.
Yep. So your dad's done well. But this thing you talk about family, you don't want family. Let me go there because you're working with your wife, right? Tell us about that aspect as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's different working with parents and siblings And then husband, wife, how's that one like? Because when you close and you go home, the person's still there. If you fight at home and you come to the office, how does it work? Tell us about it and then we'll wrap things.
So I was a bit skeptical also about doing stuff, working with my wife formally. But I think my wife has also learned and observed what I've gone through and how I've navigated my way through all my successes and my challenges. And we found a way now to work with each other's strengths. So with my wife, what we're doing now is not to have like an everyday work activity. I'm more support in terms of strategic things. I'm working more as a director. I try not to be very day to day with her in terms of what we do. But my wife has also come to understand who I've evolved to become. So she works with me in a very structured way. I like things to be organized, and that's how I can get things done. I'll give you a typical example. There are things I can tell my wife that if I told a friend, the friend will get upset. For example, if my wife has to have a discussion with me, she's got to book a time.
Book a time?
Yes, she's got to book time if it has to do with work.
Oh, okay.
She's got to book time to discuss the thing. If somebody wanted to have a meeting with me, a friend of mine, I said, you know what, you've got to maybe get time with me. They'll think, oh, you're being too known, you're being this, you're being that. But my wife understands. So now, seeing that she also understands that and she can respect how I want things done, we're able to work in a very constructive way. I'm still a bit, I'm still working, or let me see, I'm still figuring it out because the challenges I've had in family business worry me and keep me very concerned about doing what I'm doing. But I think also with all the lessons, we're putting more structure at the get-go. And because she's also seen the things I've had to do and the things I've had to learn, and she's always willing to learn with me, it makes me more comfortable. Because, I mean, I even say to her that, look, with whatever we build, I'm not looking for our kids to just come and run it. No, I'm always going to think independent. I'm going to build my children to be independent and to be great leaders on their own. Even if they're going to come in, they can shadow me and do things with me, but I'm never going to demand that they join because I know that the challenges I face with my dad are not peculiar to him alone. And so that's always helped me understand both the relational aspect and then other aspects of dealing with people and working with family.
I love it. So the experience, the maturity has helped. Now I can imagine if right at the beginning you decide to start something with your wife as well, it'll probably be different. But you've gone through the fire, you've gone through everything, so you know how to do things better. So this is such an amazing story. We've learned so much. I just want you to, we're gonna wrap this up by you giving advice to your father's classmates, the founders. What do you have to tell the founders? Let's give them one advice and then one advice to next gens. But before that, tell me, do you have any regrets at all?
I don't have any regrets at all because I've learned so much through the wins, the losses, the laughter, the pain. I've learned a lot and I'm grateful for the journey. So I don't have any regrets. However, if you ask, will I do it again? No.
No, but you came. Nobody called you.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying, that I wouldn't do it again, knowing what I know now.
Yeah.
But I don't regret because it's built me to become who I am.
Yes.
I mean, the lessons, challenges, and everything that I've gone through with family. Because remember, I work with my father and my brother. We are all like, there are three of us, three men. And my brother has played like a fantastic role in the business. In the past, he used to be our balancing act in the office. Before my board chair, he would be the calm one. My dad and I are almost identical in terms of temperament and a lot of things. So he would let us see things from different points of view. So I don't regret doing it at all. It's been a wonderful journey. It's made me who I am. In terms of advice for founders, I think it's a lot. I think that founders, a lot of founders have their kids coming in when they are older, when the founders themselves are older, in the sense that, in Africa, generally, there is a perception, or the culture is that you can advise an older person. Now, that's why Africa continues to suffer. Africa continues to suffer because we have this culture where the older person is always right. But that's wrong. And that's why in the West, they continue to grow bigger and bigger because they value people coming up with solutions, not just age. So I would say to founders that even though you've done this for years, you've got to continue to be open to continuous learning, and continuous learning in areas where you don't have knowledge. So, for example, succession planning is a thing. It's an important topic that needs to be taught.
Yeah.
Managing a family business is something that needs to be taught. Yes, you do know how to run your business, but you don't know how to, hand over. You don't know how to handle the family dynamics. You need to be taught. A lot of founders are not open to it. They feel like, I've run my business for 20, 30 years. Who's going to come and teach me? And that's a problem, because once you do that, the next gen cannot take over from you. So that's a problem. So that's the major thing. And allow your children to, as it were, allow them to learn, allow them also to express themselves. Because there is a competitive advantage, and I said this at the Family Business Summit earlier in the year, that when you have first gen or founders plus next gen, it's a competitive advantage because the perspectives are very different, and there's value in diversity. So when you add both together, there's always something new you can bring in terms of innovation and value add. For next gens, I'll say that there's a phase you go through when you're joining a family business. And I think a lot of next gens get it wrong. I have a lot of them talk to me, and my father won't listen to me. And I'm trying to find out, okay, how long have you been in the business?
6 months.
Sometimes 1 year, sometimes 2 years, sometimes 3 years. And I'm like, guy, lady, calm down. I've been in the business for 18 years. It's only last year, 2024, that after being CEO for about 11 years, where my father now said, you know what, now you've got it. Prior to that, I was still arguing. We were still fighting. But last year, we had a big one, and I said, no, enough is enough. But I had to earn it. I had to earn it. So some of them, next gens, join the business and they think that I have this fantastic idea. And so if you're not taking it, I'm going. I'll also advise them by saying that don't be afraid to do other things. Focus and learn what your parents are doing if you really want to do the business. But they won't always allow you to express yourself fully.
Yeah.
So find other ways to express yourself, because that would also bring new ideas to whatever you're doing. It's like a whole mix of your talent and your abilities. And when you're able to succeed at other things, your parents will give you more opportunities. Because remember, I only became CEO very early. I was CEO at the age of 29. Yes, I became CEO very early because I was able to prove that all the figures that you think are big figures, I can sign them now. It's just you that thinks it's this way. I was able to become CEO because within 6 months of incorporating another business, I was signing big deals. So develop yourself. I think I'll end by saying that next gens, don't be all about the family business. Invest in your growth. and your self-development, because things happen. Businesses can go bad. Economies can have major challenges. So don't overly focus on the family business. Focus and give your best, but develop you, because you're the one who's going to stand at the end of the day. If you don't develop yourself and the whole thing is, I'm working,
The business.
when the business goes down or there's a problem, all you knew was that skill related to that particular business. But develop yourself, invest in reading, invest in finding mentors, serving in groups and in communities, develop your leadership, ask questions, watch podcasts such as Family Business Diaries, because Mary, what you're doing, I think, is fantastic.
Thank you.
I usually don't take up a lot of things to speak and talk to people, but I've seen what you're doing is very important. African businesses are really, really suffering because people don't share their stories. I've shared a lot of very vulnerable things and experiences, but it's not to put any of my family in bad light. It's just to share what we've learned.
Yeah.
My father and I have a fantastic relationship today. The other day, he visited us in this office and he was like, there was a whole period where if Prince says something, is no, no. Now, even before he says it's a yes. He was telling my wife that. But it takes time.
Yes.
And I had to earn it. For me, I've been in the business for 18 years. It took me 17 years to get to that point. So when somebody's worked 4 years and they are complaining and they are, no, it takes time.
Patience. Yeah.
It takes time, especially when you are really committed to a certain goal. So my goal is to have, to grow ASCO to the next level. And that would happen with independent people who may not be family. I'm not against family, but the family dynamics can be quite difficult to navigate. There are too many emotions.
Emotions.
So it's better to keep the emotions out, get professionals, let the family do what the family does. Let them work on the shareholder level. But interfering with the business, especially Africans, it's not the best. So for now, there are few people who can do it, but it's not easy. So if you're in it, give it your best. Give it your best, but it's not an easy thing. I think that I forgot to add one thing, which I should add, which is very important. Give it your best. And for me, one of the things that has really helped me is the Bible. My struggles in family business, the way I've been able to get around it is by studying the stories of David, Joseph, and Jacob.
Laban style.
Yes. So by learning the stories of David, Jacob, and Joseph, it helped me stay humble and also to know that it's not he who wills, it's the Lord that shows mercy.
Yes.
So God continues to guide my path, and I wish every other family business leader on Next Gen all the best in their endeavors. Thank you, Mary.
What a way to end it. I love it. I read a story, I read a thing about Jacob, and that was a very complicated family business they had going.
Yeah.
I read a whole thing about it, but thank you. That's a really nice way to end. And to end the season, go read those stories. David, Joseph, and Jacob. Yes.
Yeah.
Prince, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, I've been taking notes, and the notes is not to ask you extra questions. It's like, okay, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. But thank you so much. The story right from the beginning, the passion, talking about values, all of that, how you navigated, the downtimes with your dad, everything. Thank you so much. We're super grateful. I hear you when you say, you don't need family in there. Just do what makes it work, because at the end of the day, it's the vision. What is it that the family wants, right? We want the family name. We want to make a difference. That's fine. How do we have to do it? It doesn't have to be a family member always. So Thank you for sharing this perspective. Now to our audience, you have heard it. This is a full masterclass with what's the name?
Africa's Titan.
Africa's Titan. This man is a special one. Go check him out. He has all these videos. It's on Instagram and TikTok.
Yep.
He's doing so much in the space and helping entrepreneurs, helping business people. So do well to, check him out, Prince Arkutu. And Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Family Business Diaries. We release new episodes monthly. You can find us on YouTube at Family Business Diaries. You can find us on Instagram, on social media at Family Business Diaries. Check out our website, familybusinesshub.co. And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.